Coming up on 5 Minute News. Countdown to catastrophe in Yemen as UN warns of famine. Donations to Trump election defense instead go to president. And UK tries to reassure over Brexit with added pressure from Biden. It's Thursday, November 12. I'm Anthony Davis. Millions of men, women and children in war-torn Yemen are facing famine again. Top United Nations officials warned yesterday as they appealed for more money to prevent it again. We are on a countdown right now to a catastrophe, UN Food Chief David Beasley told the UN Security Council. We've been here before. We did almost the same dog and pony show. We sounded the alarm then. The United Nations describes Yemen as the world's largest humanitarian crisis, with 80% of the people in need of help. If we chose to look away, there's no doubt in my mind Yemen will be plunged into a devastating famine within a few short months, Beasley told the 15-member council. A Saudi Arabia-led military coalition intervened in Yemen in 2015, backing government forces fighting the Iran-allied Houthi group. UN officials are trying to revive peace talks to end the war, as the country's suffering is also worsened by an economic and currency collapse and the COVID-19 pandemic. In late 2017, UN aid chief Mark Lowcock warned that Yemen was then facing the largest famine the world has seen for many decades, with millions of victims. We prevented famine 2 years ago, Lowcock told the Security Council. More money for the aid operation is the quickest and most efficient way to support famine prevention efforts right now. He said the world body had received less than half of what it needed, about $1.5 billion this year for its humanitarian operations in Yemen. Last year, it received $3 billion. When I think about what famine would mean, I'm really at a loss to understand why more is not being done to prevent it, Lowcock said. It is a terrible, agonizing and humiliating death. Yemenis are not going hungry. They are being starved. As Donald Trump seeks to discredit last week's election with baseless claims of voter fraud, his team has bombarded his supporters with requests for money to help pay for legal challenges to the results. But any small-dollar donations from Trump's grassroots donors won't be going to legal expenses at all, according to a Reuters review of the legal language in the solicitations. A donor would have to give more than $8,000 before any money goes to the recount account, established to finance election challenges, including recounts and lawsuits over alleged improprieties. The emailed solicitations send supporters to an official election defense fund website that asks them to sign up for recurring donations to protect the results and keep fighting even after Election Day. The fine print, however, makes clear most of the money will go to other priorities. A large portion of the money goes to Save America, a Trump leadership political action committee set up on Monday, and the Republican National Committee. Under Federal Election Commission rules, both groups have broad leeway in how they can use the funds. Leadership PACs such as Save America are often set up by prominent political figures to spend money on other candidates, while also paying for personal expenses such as travel and hotel stays. The disclosures would allow Trump and the RNC to channel the donations into other political causes or campaigns, such as the 2 high-stakes January Senate runoff races in Georgia that could determine control of the Senate and are likely to rank among the most expensive races in U.S. history. That means that before a dollar goes to the recount fund, Save America would receive $5,000 and the RNC around $3,300. Donations to the recount committee are legally limited to $2,800. The fundraising pitches have channeled Trump's rage and his refusal to accept the results of an election that major media outlets called on Saturday for his Democratic opponent Joe Biden, the former vice president. Most of the Republican Party has fallen in line with Trump's rhetoric, either by staying silent or publicly supporting the election challenges. Legal experts said none of the cases were broad enough to invalidate the number of votes required to overturn Biden's victory. Britain will attempt to reassure nervous business leaders that it appreciates the need for clarity on rules outside of the European Union by setting up a task force to discuss challenges 50 days before the transition period ends. The United Kingdom left the EU in January, but the sides are trying to clinch a deal that would govern nearly $1 trillion in annual trade before the status quo transitional arrangements end on December 31st. Outside the EU's single market, where trade flows freely, Britain's exporters will have to complete a raft of paperwork, including customs and safety declarations, and deal with multiple IT systems to gain entry to Europe. Companies will have to complete paperwork and submit goods for random checks to cross borders, increasing both the cost and time it takes to do business. With its first meeting taking place virtually on Thursday, the new government Brexit task force involving businesses and senior ministers will meet each week into next year. Drama unfolded yesterday in Downing Street after the sudden departure of a senior advisor to the Prime Minister over the ramifications of a no-deal Brexit. Joe Biden used his first phone call with Boris Johnson as president-elect to put more pressure on the Prime Minister about his Brexit plans. A readout from the Biden transition team on Monday said the pair discussed issues including climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic, while Biden reaffirmed his support for the Good Friday Agreement. Biden was firm on the issue of Brexit and brought up the subject twice in relation to Northern Ireland, warning that the UK's exit plans must not impede the landmark peace deal which largely brought peace to the island of Ireland. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Please subscribe, rate and review us at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an independent production covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering unbiased, verified and truthful world news daily.